So welcome back to another one of our fantastic business conversation series interviews, where we delve into what's going on in the world of professional services from those who are actually active in it. And today we're focused on the world of law, and I'm here with Kavita Deobhakta from Morgan Coakle, a litigation lawyer who's very client focused. She's been in large law firms and now in a boutique one here in Auckland doing her stuff. So Kavita, just to get started, for our audience, tell us what's brought you to where you are now.
Thanks, Ben. Thanks for having me here today. It's been a really interesting set of questions that we're going to go through today. But it's given me cause to sort of pause and think about what's important to me in terms of legal practice and important to me in terms of where I see legal practice going. Here today to talk about my career and my approach to legal services. I think, like anyone in the insurance industry, because my particular expertise is in insurance litigation, I fell into insurance. It was the only job that I was offered as a law clerk a very long time ago. And so it's been a career, though, and an industry that I think has given me the opportunity to really thrive and really flourish. And I think that's part of the industry itself, but also I think it has been borne out by my approach to the industry and reflective of how much I love working in that industry.
So kind of looking back a little bit, going back to that starting point when you come out of law school, you're not sure which branch of law you want to get into. What advice would you give those who are just starting out now on that similar journey that you've been through?
That's a great question. I think that in terms of the advice that I would give is don't think that what you start out to do is going to be where you end up finishing or where you end up working. For me, I had a C+ in public law, which cut me out of the running, out of all of the big firms. I thought that that's where I wanted to be initially as a young lawyer. I thought I wanted to be in a big firm doing corporate litigation, commercial litigation. And I simply didn't get offered jobs in those big firms because of that mark. But I did end up getting offered a job in a boutique firm, a boutique insurance litigation firm, which gave me the opportunity really to approach my career with cases that were general law. It was general insurance litigation law. And for those of your viewers who know about the insurance industry, it's incredibly varied.
Yeah.
And so I was given the opportunity to be exposed to a really wide variety of types of law. And so I think my advice would be don't start out thinking that the type of law you want to do will be the type of law that you end up doing. Keep yourself open to the opportunities.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing. Okay, Kavita. On that theme of people early in their career and actually developing their career in law, lots changed in our working models over the last few years for obvious reasons. But there's been an ongoing debate between, working from home and being in the physical office. How important is it actually to have that connection and that being in the office and around other lawyers and those you report into to kind of learn and build your career better?
That's also a very good question, Ben. Look, I personally think that it's really important, especially for people starting out in their career, and even people who are sort of at that midpoint of their career. I think it's really important to be in the office. I mean, ultimately, I think humans are social creatures. I think that we thrive off our social connections. I think we really benefit from human connections, and what better way to exploit those human connections than to be in the office? it's really important, I think, for people also to understand and learn skills from other people. To this day, I still listen to when people are talking to me, and I still think to myself, is that the way that I should have a conversation with someone? Is that an approach that I would take? And I think it's important to have those to create the opportunities where you can analyze those sorts of conversations face to face. And certainly for people who are starting out in their careers or people who are at that sort of midpoint, it's important to overhear how people are dealing with difficult conversations, difficult clients, difficult lawyers, difficult conversations which cause you to understand a lot about how you have those conversations, and then hopefully give you the opportunity to change the way that you approach those. I think that's very difficult to do when you're in a work and a home environment. You're not surrounded by other people. Having said that, there is, I think, a time and a place for working at home. I do know that if you have, complex advice, complex indemnity advice, or complex legal advice opinions that you're giving, it is really nice to be able to lock yourself away. Morgan Coakle, we're very lucky. We all have offices, and so we do have a door that you can shut. Yeah. We're also very lucky in that we've got support staff that we can direct calls to, and I think that's important too, because when we do close ourselves away from the world because we have work to do, our people, our clients, our other lawyers, they have an actual human to be able to talk to, who will tell them that Kavita's busy or she's in a meeting. And again, I think that's important. I think that's perhaps a luxury that I understand not all businesses have. It is a luxury that we have, but I think it is important that you're in that working environment where everyone's working together as a group.
Fabulous. So Kavita, we're here as real people, not actually AI-generated images, which is more common now. And AI is having a real impact on the way legal services are delivered and how it's done these days. What impacts are you seeing with AI, and how will it change how legal service delivering, and what impact is it having on the industry in general?
I think AI is going to have a huge impact on how we do deliver services to clients. I think it's also going to have a huge impact on how we learn as lawyers. I think obviously it's got its limitations, and I think as it becomes in more wide usage, its limitations are going to become clearer and clearer. Certainly in legal practice, I think there's certainly a role for AI. We have thousands and thousands of documents that we have to get through. We have categorization of documents. We've got to understand documents. And I can see that is something that's really going to assist us, and it's going to assist us to streamline our practices. Where I think AI has its limitations is in that ability to actually deliver the services. Yep. I think that is always going to need a human, especially in terms of liability insurance. Professional negligence, we're often dealing with people with insureds who have their own personal business, they have their personal reputation at risk. The ability to deliver services to those types of people, it's never going to be able to be done by artificial intelligence. It's always going to require a human who has empathy, who has understanding, someone who can understand what those people's drivers are, and being able to help them navigate a very, very difficult litigation process, effectively holding their hand. And AI, I don't think, is ever going to be able to do that part of the job.
No, it may prescribe an outcome without understanding all the options and helping that person really understand what they can do.
Correct. And sometimes it's about finding creative solutions within a legal framework and within a technically correct framework, but assisting those people to feel that their drivers have been heard and understood, and indeed the things that are important to them, being their reputation, their respect, the standing that they have in their professional community, remains intact.
Fabulous. So Kavita, in your career, you've worked for a big global law firm and now a boutique national law firm. You've worked in several different environments. What's the major differences in those environments?
I don't actually think there's much difference. Obviously, working for a big multinational firm, we had bigger teams. We had different structures in relation to how the teams were staffed and how they were resourced. But very much, I think, in the practice of insurance law, the model remains the same. Clients really want to see a main person dealing with the file. They want to have perhaps one other person working on the file. They don't want big leveraged teams. And for the nature of the work we do, I think that model of having a partner and one other person working on the file works really well, because it means that we're agile enough to be able to deal with the issues that arise. We don't have files that are over-resourced, overstaffed. And also I think it assists us to have things resolved quickly, pragmatically, efficiently, economically. So I'm pretty sure that most of the other firms who operate in the insurance industry work in very much the same model, mainly because that is what the insurance industry, what the clients dictate. And so personally, I haven't seen much of a difference from how I used to work in a big global multinational firm to how I now work in a medium-sized firm.
Cool. So Kavita, those who know you're an avid fan of horses and horse riding, and it's a real passion of yours, and you've taken it up. What lessons from that activity, sport, have you learned that you've used in your career?
I love my horses. I've taken up dressage as an adult, and for those of your viewers who know about dressage, it's a highly disciplined and highly technical sport. I think the lessons that I've learned, which I've put into practice in law as well as in my sport, is that you approach a competition in one of two ways. It's either a winning exercise or it's a learning exercise. And I think having that clarity when you go into a legal case or you go into a competition, having that understanding of whether you're there to learn or whether you're there to win, it means that either way, it's always a rewarding experience.
Along that way, as you've developed your equestrian career, you would have had support, coaching, mentorship. How important has that been?
It's been incredibly important to me. I would never have been able to ride at the level that I'm riding at without having a coach, without having someone who's there to guide you through the process, but also really to help you identify where you need to put your resources into.
And do you think the same applies within someone's career? They might need that help or coaching and mentorship along the way?
Absolutely. I think it's really important, especially in the career that we're in. You need to get out of your own head. Sometimes you can think that you know it all. Sometimes you can think that you don't need assistance. But that's probably the point at which you need assistance. It's that ability to have someone else look over what you're doing and identify really what you need in order to thrive and what you need to succeed.
Fantastic. So we've warmed you up now. Nice, easy question coming up. Speaking more broadly, what are the factors you think are going to affect the legal sector in the 3 or 4 years to come?
I think I've got to probably boil them down to a couple of essential ones, because there are a lot of factors that are going to affect legal practice. The main factor, I think, has got to remain the cost of legal services. Legal services litigation remains prohibitive for so many people because of the cost. I think that that is going to be a real issue going forward. I think probably the second biggest factor is the availability of resources in relation to court resources, and even mediation ADR resources as well. Increasingly, the courts, I think, are becoming under pressure to deal with things pragmatically, commercially, quickly. That's the real challenge for the court. But one of the things that we're seeing now is even the availability of alternative dispute resolution services increasingly becoming difficult to get access to good mediators within a time frame that meets clients' expectations.
Wow, so access to justice is getting harder.
Correct.
Moving on more into my heartland and the people who follow this channel, what I guess they're more interested in, or the main topic of what we focus on here at the BD Ladder. At what stage do you think people in their career should really start focusing on business development, client relationship building skills within the legal industry?
I think people should start from day one. It's really important. I think that people need to identify it and prioritise it, because of course business and development is something which sees you throughout the whole of your career, so we're better to start than at the beginning. Though having said that, I think that you can always teach an old horse new tricks, and so even for people who are midway through their career, even at the end of their career, it's really important to still factor it in and to still make time for it. Those people who are at the end of their career, they may be looking at succession planning. Yep. They may be looking at selling their businesses, selling their practices, and that's a perfect time to help the people who they're expecting to take over the practice to continue to develop, to continue to mentor the existing staff, to husband the existing clients. And the way I think you can do that is by having a really clear B&D program in place. So really, ideally, I think at the start of your career, and something which takes you right through your career, but never too late to start.
Awesome. Thinking about client-centric thinking, how do you actually demonstrate that you're putting your client first?
That's very hard to quantify. It's very hard
Indeed.
to sort of put I think it's overall how you approach the job. If you're putting the client first, I think they'll know that you're putting them first. It's very hard to pinpoint specific actions which you should do in order to put your client first. Ultimately, you're only ever as good as your last file. You're only ever as good as how you reported to that client, how you managed their expectations, how you met their expectations. And I think that's very difficult to quantify. To use the classic legal phrase, it's the vibe. If the client feels the vibe that you're putting them first, then they'll trust you. They'll give you more work. They will give you the difficult files. They'll have the difficult conversations with you if they trust you and if they feel they're being put first.
And there's a phrase that's going on now that should have existed for a while, I guess, but it's around this idea of client listening. How important is that in this kind of mix of client first?
Oh, absolutely. It's so important. We're often, as lawyers, I think, in a hurry to tell the client what it is that they need to do. But often we really need to stop and listen to what is it that they want to do? What is it that they want to achieve? Very, very important in insurance as well, because often if you don't understand what those clients' drivers are, what it is that they need to do in order to achieve what it is they need to achieve, then by not listening to them, you're never going to be able to put in place a strategy which achieves what it is that they need to achieve.
So our last question now, and this is one we ask of every single one of our guests, so our viewers know exactly what's coming here. I really enjoy this question. What's the one tip that you can share with our viewers on how to win work?
I think the one overriding factor would be know when to ask for help and choose who you ask for help. When it comes to winning new work, I think you've got to understand that you're never going to win it all. But it's really important to have someone, I think, beside you, someone holding your hand, who's going to help you identify where you can win work that's going to translate to making your practice better, making it more profitable, making it a more rewarding practice in terms of the legal work that you're doing. And it's very difficult to do that when you're standing there looking at all of these opportunities. You need someone to help you sift through those opportunities and identify which are the opportunities which are actually going to translate to your practice.
Fabulous, love that answer. So that's another business conversation in the can. Thank you so much for being our guest, Kavita, and inviting us into your fabulous office to record this episode. Thank you very, very much. To all our viewers, I hope you've enjoyed this one. I've learned a lot. I'm sure you've learned a lot. Do remember to like and subscribe to our channel, where you'll get more of this great content, more of these wonderful business conversations, and some of our BD tips as well, which you can follow along and improve your skills. So until next time, goodbye.